Good evening, councillors and members in the public gallery. I will officially open this evening's ordinary council meeting at 7 p.m. Thank you for your attendance tonight. I'd like to remind everyone in the chambers to ensure that comments are respectful to the council and all meeting attendees, including city officers and those in our public gallery. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we are meeting, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay our respect to elders past, present, and emerging. There are no announcements tonight. Attendance. The Mayor, Philomena Piforetti, has provided apology this evening. All other councillors are present in the chamber. Applications for leave. Any councillors would like to apply?
Yes, to the Chair, Deputy Mayor. Yes, I'd like to make an application for the 27th of March through to the 6th of April, 2026.
Thank you. Any other applications? No. Can I please have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Leda is moving. Councillor Sutherland is seconding. I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? It is unanimous. Thank you. Disclosures of interest. Councillors, do you have any interest to disclose? Councillor Black, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I disclose that some of the deputations that were given last week were known to me as through my work as a councillor. Partial. I'll stay in the room. Thank you.
So which item do you want? To? We need to specify.
I guess 8.3 under deputations, but if it was given last week, then I don't need to.
11.1 as well.
11.1. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so it's impartial. You're staying in the room.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other interests? Councillor Ostasowski.
Thank you. I have a proximity interest in 10.3.1 Ivanhoe Reserve Playground Petition. My house is in very close proximity to this reserve, and my house is also on the same street as this reserve. It's only a few houses away. I'll be leaving the room for this item.
Thank you. Any other disclosures? No. Thank you. We will move to confirmation of minutes. We will now confirm the minutes from the 20th January 2026 meeting as per the officer's recommendation in the addendum that you all received, with an amendment that you also have it in the run sheet. I'm sorry, councillors, we actually jumped the public question time. So we first will do the public question time before the minutes. We will move to public question time. The questions and responses are also available on the city's website, and I'm referring to those that we received in writing. Members of the public gallery, I'll first call for questions on item on this evening's agenda, and then I will open to questions on item not on the agenda. Please provide your name and suburb before you ask your question, and keep in mind that you are limited to 3 questions. Are there any questions on item on this evening's agenda? Please come forward. Please provide your name and suburb and the item that you want to speak. You have a question on.
Aviv Silman, Naranda. I have a question on 10.4.2. There isn't very much on this item, but I just want to ask about the data retention times from the data you collect from the CCTV procurement after it's procured. How long will the data be collected? That's my first question. Be stored, basically.
Do we have this data? I will go to the director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I have to take that one on notice. I don't have that information on hand.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Also on 10.4.2, as a data governance question, who can see that data once it's been collected?
I will go to the director.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, prefer to take that one on notice and provide an accurate answer.
Okay, so we'll provide those responses.
Thank you.
Anything else?
And finally, also on 10.4.2, without violating anyone's privacy, what cyber certificates are used for the cyber defenders of this data once it's collected?
On notice? We will take it on notice as well, and you'll get the responses for all the questions together. Thank you very much. Any other questions on items on the agenda? Please come forward.
Harry Bazidis, Naranda.
Maybe you could just lift the mic a bit higher,
Sure.
so it'll be better for the record. Thank you.
Better? Thank you. My question is to do with 10.4.2 as well.
Okay.
2 years ago, I came to the ordinary council meeting and I asked about the effectiveness of the security cameras across all public places in Naranda. I was told it was under review. Can I have an update on that, please?
Thank you. We'll go to the director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, thank you for the question. Since that time, the city has undertaken an audit and review of the city's CCTV network. That was comprehensive and extensive across the whole city and has resulted to inform a scope of work which has been out through a procurement process through a request for tender, and that is the item that is presented to council tonight to consider that process and to consider the evaluation and potentially to make a decision on that to renew the city's CCTV network.
Okay, can I ask what the timeline would be for the rollout?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, the city has been working really hard to streamline and fast track the procurement of this. We want to see the renewal happen at the earliest opportunity. Should council decide to move forward tonight, then we would meet with the vendor and we would work that out, but it would be as soon as practical.
Do you have any other questions?
So sorry, I didn't get approximate rollout time.
Do we have a time
Are we talking
frame?
about a year or are we talking about 2 years? Just an approximate indication, because 2 years have already gone by.
So through Deputy Mayor, the intention is to commence the rollout this financial year, should council make a decision to move forward tonight.
Okay, just that I noticed at Robert Thompson Reserve, the security cameras have gone missing. Either City of Bayswater have taken them down or they've been stolen. And I just wasn't sure as to, is that in preparation for new cameras or have they truly been stolen?
Do we know at this stage?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, we can, they haven't been taken down in preparation for this tender, but we can look at that and see what we can do in the interim.
Okay, so the city will look
Okay.
into this.
All right,
What
thanks very
happened
much.
there. Thank you. Yes, I'll have someone walk in. You can come forward. Please, if you
Yeah.
can state your name and suburb.
Yeah, Andrew Charlotte.
Yes,
So
please.
my questions are with regards to management of the verges throughout the city.
So, Mr. Charlotte, we are first discussing questions on items on the agenda,
Oh, okay.
and then we will go to general questions like you have.
All right.
So I'll finish with the items on the agenda. Yes, David Dyke, please, if you can come forward. Yes, Dyke, Mr. Dyke, a question on the item on the agenda. Yes.
David Dyke, Maylands. My question's on 11.1. Could each councillor indicate if they have ever attended a RAC meeting, that's Reconciliation Action Committee, or are intending on doing so in the next few months?
Thank you, Mr. Dyke. As the chair, what I can say is that I did attend a REC meeting and met previous committee members, and also have been speaking with a lot of Aboriginal people during my time on council, which is 9 years now. With regards to other councillors, I think they had the question and you can always contact them individually, but I won't open it now for discussion, but I think they understood what you actually try to deliver here. Any other questions, Mr. Dyke?
No.
Thank you. Yes, please come forward. And I would like to acknowledge former Bayswater Councillor Gray.
Thank you, lovely to be back. And I acknowledge the Noongar Whadjuk people, and I'm privileged to be standing here on their land. Technology is not my friend. A little preamble, as all the councillors are aware, the City's Reconciliation Advisory Committee, now the panel, was established in 2019 to oversee the development of the city's RAP, to seek expert cultural advice and guidance on First Nations protocols and to strengthen trust and relations with First Nations people. I was privileged to be chair of this committee during my time on council, and there are also members, former members here tonight. My question is, as the Reconciliation Advisory now panel is still a functioning council-endorsed entity, do the elected members understand and engage with and value the advice that's given? I can see that in the city's response that they understand. That's my question.
That's a question. Thank you. And the answer is yes. Councillors are aware of the advice given by the REC, similar to the advice and recommendations that we are receiving from all advisory groups and committees. Those advice and recommendations come into council for consideration. Council makes the decisions, as you know the process. Thank you.
As councillors are aware, or should be aware, the committee provided very specific cultural and empathetic reasons for moving the celebration, including the citizenship ceremony, to days following January 26. It's recognised as a mourning period for many First Nations people, and the days leading up to and including January 26 are a time of significant pain, reflection and mourning. The committee pointed out that celebrating after the day of mourning allows the city to transition from a period of truth-telling. Given that this culturally appropriate advice was accepted by the majority of the council in 2024, I wonder why council is now considering a step backwards in our city's path to reconciliation with our First Nations community.
Thank you. Council heard the question and they will discuss this item tonight.
Thank you. I believe the reconciliation panel has progressed the RAP to the innovate stage. I congratulate the committee and the city's officers for the progress they've made. It's a difficult process and a well thought out one. The terms of reference for this committee include the aim to facilitate understanding, strengthen relationships and trust with the First Nations community. I'd like to know, have the elected members considered how this hard-earned, fragile trust that's been carefully and respectfully built and continues, I hope, to build, will impact the First Nations community? The huge negative publicity that it will draw if passed, and the massive reputational damage to the city if this motion is supported.
Thank you. Council will debate it and discuss it very shortly. Any other questions on items of the agenda? Please come. Okay, please.
Good evening, Wendy Garstone, Maylands.
Yes.
My questions relate to item 10.5.1.3.2, the planning policy review for the Bedford North Design Guidelines Policy. And my first question, just a bit of background. As you all know, the state government has set a target to increase Perth's tree canopy to 30% by 2040. And it's currently on average 16%. But in the suburb of Bedford, canopy cover when measured in 2024 is 8%. And I note that item 3 of the objectives of the Bedford North Design Guidelines Policy is to create suitably sized and landscaped street setback areas to beautify the streetscape, increase tree canopy cover, promote biodiversity and encourage outdoor living. So my first question is, has the future mature canopy coverage been calculated based on required tree planting, including street trees, within the design guidelines boundary?
Thank you for your question. I will go to the Director of Infrastructure and Assets to respond.
Yeah, through the chair, you're aware that we do some calculations in terms of tree canopy coverage. That wasn't actually included, or this wasn't included in those calculations.
Okay, thank you. Second question. So if the future mature canopy coverage has not been calculated as yet, can this be done so that everyone is aware of the contribution that tree planting, including future street trees in this area, will have in increasing local canopy coverage?
I will go again to the Director.
Yeah, through the chair, there's a bit of work involved with doing those calculations. but we are looking into whether it's feasible to do that.
Thank you. And also, will street trees be required to be planted by each and every developer when adjacent lots are being developed in that area?
Thank you. We'll go to you, Director. Yes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for the question. So street trees will be required to be planted when verge areas adjacent to the development site are developed and no existing verge trees are present, and this is applied as a condition of development approval.
Thank you.
Thank you. There was a question somewhere there, I think, before? No. Sorry, maybe I think this guy was asking a few times. Sorry. Okay, please. Former Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Sorry, just let me grab my questions. So I have a question on the agenda. Likewise on the Bedford North Design Guidelines 10.1.3.2. When I read this article, that's when I found out the WPC had refused the amendments. I'm just wondering what the plan is for is that correct? Sorry.
So this is, sorry, 10.5.1, is this the Bedford one? Which
Yes.
item?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I will, the manager. Sorry, sir. Yes, the manager, would you like to respond? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, through the chair. Yes, the variations to the R codes that required WAPC approval were refused in August of 2025.
Okay, so then my question is, thank you for clarifying that. Are there plans to advise the community of that refusal, particularly the people that fed into the various consultations that we had over the years?
Through the chair. Yes, the submitters and landowners within the area were advised at the time and were advised that the city was reviewing what was sort of left of the policy, and a future report would be presented to council.
Perfect, thank you for that.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I do have a question on 11.1.
Yes.
I think the right question is not, should Australia Day be celebrated on the 26th? And the right question is not, do you wish to celebrate this amazing country of ours? The question is, if you support this item, how will you explain to the community why you ignored the recommendations of the Reconciliation Advisory Committee?
Thank you. So this has been noted and councillors will consider that as well.
Thank you.
Yes. If you can please state your name and suburb and the item that it's relevant to.
Thank you, Chair. James McDonald from Bayswater. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the stolen lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people and sovereignty was never ceded. Beyond the obvious questions about the motion 11.1 tonight, I would like to also say or ask a question that Councillor Sutherland's proposal would require additional staffing costs on a date which is a public holiday. Given the councillor has repeatedly stressed the importance of being responsible with funds expended by the council and has questioned previous increases to rates, what justification is there to move the ceremony to a date which would attract significant additional costs related to staffing? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Councillors will discuss it tonight. So you will hear the argument soon. Any other questions? Yes. Yes. Please come forward. Ms. Kerr, can you please still name your name and suburb?
Georgina Kerr, Bedford. Just on 10.5.1.3.2, why is it so long? The Bedford North Design Guidelines Policy.
Yep.
I'd like to ask if the communication could please be reviewed because I contributed to a number of stages of that process and I was not advised of the WAPC refusal.
Thank you for that. Can we look into this? Yes, the CEO is confirming they will look into this.
Yeah, through you, Chair, we'll look into that and come back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on items on the agenda? Yes, please come forward. Just state your name and suburb and the item.
Branka Radanovic, Bayswater. 11.1. As our neighbouring council, town of Bassendean, I'm just wondering, they actually had their ceremony citizenship ceremony on the 27th, the day after the 26th of January. I'm just wondering why we didn't have reference of that, of this particular point in the agenda, considering they are our neighbouring council.
So I think the office has provided a list of other local governments, but this has been noted as another one. Thank you for pointing it out to councillors.
Thank you.
Any other questions on items on the agenda? No. So now we will move to questions on general items. And I think there was one person who wanted to ask you. Please come forward. Yes.
Yeah, Andrew Charlotte from Maylands. My questions are, does the city agree that the state of a majority of verges throughout Maylands are in a poor state or in fact an eyesore?
I will go to the Director of Infrastructure to respond.
Yeah, through the chair. So the city is aware that the quality of verges in terms of their presentation does vary in Maylands. So we are aware of that. With the local law that's applicable to verges, residents are actually required to maintain verge treatments if they've installed those verge treatments. If those verge treatments aren't maintained, or there isn't a verge treatment on that particular verge, and the city will look after those verges and do a rudimentary mowing of that verge about 3 to 4 times a year. We'll go and do a slash to make sure it's safe and it doesn't create any issues for the community.
Can I answer that?
You can ask a question.
How long have you been doing it? Because it's in a disgraceful state. And after the electricity board did the underground and the water board in current times, they have not been looked at. They're in some areas, they're in a dangerous state. There's sand all over the floor that people have to walk through sand. I brought this up with my local ward councillors who have agreed. This has been over 2 years that the state of these verges is, well, it's disgusting. And that the council, my question that I hope that the councillors would have asked, have you any sort of maintenance schedule? It seems very ad hoc to me. There are a great number of residents in Maylands that live in rented accommodation, so they have no interest in what the verges look like. A lot of them along Peninsula Drive are common ground, which would come under the council's remit with regards to roads and verges. They're unsafe. I've had to take the council to task over dangerous junctions, one in particular, the junction of Richard Street in Guildford, and Peninsula, excuse me, that still hasn't been. There are no safety signs there. It's a rising bend, which is an accident waiting to happen. This is because people park on the verges. There are no signs with regards to who's maintaining that verge. There are trees growing willy-nilly, bushes here and there. That not only is it an eyesore, it's also a danger. So my question I've asked, it's been over a year that I've been bringing this to the notice of my ward councillors, that it's just too hard, to put it simple, and that it's not a priority.
How about I will ask a different question, if you don't mind. How will the city manage all those verges that were mentioned that are neglected in a more active way? Is this something that the city is planning to do or can do?
So we do have, we've set up a new team. So it's part of the program of Pride that council resolved last year. So we have established a team. We're in the process of getting that team rolled out. They're doing inspections of verges. What we'll be doing with that team is to encourage people to maintain their verges. So we're looking at ways of trying to promote people to maintain those verges in front of their properties where they have treatments installed. We're also going to do some additional work around the place to tidy up some of the verges. But like I mentioned earlier, we do have an unkempt verge mowing program. We get around to about 3 to 4 times a year to do some of those verges that aren't maintained by the adjoining residents. So that is part of the service that the city provides, but we can review that and have further discussions with council in terms of what level of service they'd like to see.
Thank you. Can I finally say, did anybody bother go and have a look at the areas that the underground cabling disturbed? I mean, I've had various answers back from my councillors, and in fairness to both of them, they have brought this to the city, I believe. The fact of the matter is, it's not the ratepayers, it's not their duty to go around checking, giving names, giving details of roads and stuff like that, or going on Facebook. I'm certainly not on Facebook. It's a council issue. It should be part of the facilities management or whatever. At least see that if you've got a contractor working for you, that they give you the value of money that they're charging, or if the council is not paying them, or who's paying them, whoever. Because there are some areas that virtually are just massive sand pits. It's not just, you know, a few bits and pieces of grass missing. It's dips in the verges.
I know where you're getting it, and I think the officers understand. When is the new team that we approved starting to work, starting to operate? Because we approved, just so you understand, we approved resources for the city to deal with verges. So let's find out when they're starting.
So we're looking at that team operating in full, probably still be another 2 months away.
Okay, so it's not long.
I brought this to the council so that we can go forward with it. But, you know, up till now, the mayor herself was talking about the beautification and the streets and stuff like that. I just feel that no one with the city has actually been around and seen the state that Maylands is getting into. Now, I appreciate what the gentleman has said with regards to the future, and I'll hold him to that, and I'll take that as an answer to go forward. But I am very dubious that anything will be done, because some of the answers that I've had, quite frankly, are just typical bureaucratic stonewalling.
So, Mr. Charlotte, the CEO, I asked him if he will give you a response from his perspective.
So through you, Deputy Mayor, I mean, we've heard all of the concerns raised. The directors indicated that we're happy to review that, so we will undertake a review. I've made some notes down that will look at the stats on the unkept verge mowing program. Yep. We only have a certain budget for that. If it's not meeting expectations within the Maylands area, then that's something that you've highlighted. We can review and we can bring that back to council to have a look. The other areas, Richard and Peninsula, I'll go out and have a look at that with the director. We do go out and look at issues around the city. So I'll give you that undertaking that we'll go out and have a look at that and a broader look at the underground power as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please come forward. Again, state your name and suburb.
Olivia Burmester, Bedford. My question is in relation to traffic management and signage on Edward Street. Has the council conducted a recent traffic assessment of Edward Street between Park Street and Beaufort Street cul-de-sac during peak school hours, and if not, when will this occur?
Thank you. I will go to the Director of Infrastructure to respond.
Yeah, through the chair. No, we haven't done a traffic assessment recently, but we have put a traffic assessment on the list of actions to roll out within our team. We're probably expecting that to occur over the next few months, and we're endeavouring to have that done hopefully by June this year, keeping in mind that we do have quite a lot of other assessments we're doing across the city as well.
And on that notice that you've put it in, is that for that specific area requested?
Through the chair, that's correct, yes.
Okay. And will the results of that be available to residents and taxpayers or ratepayers?
Through the chair, yes, we'll make that available.
Okay. And my next question is, will a no stopping sign be extended on Park Street, cul-de-sac, from Park to Beaufort Street, similar to Lawrence Street? And how will the no stopping be enforced during the 2:30 to 4 p.m. thing? There is currently signs from 10 Edward Street down, but the traffic takes up all of the area and the signage is not enforced.
I will go to the director.
So we will do an assessment of that area. So part of that assessment, we'll look at whether we can extend it down towards the cul-de-sac. So you're talking about from Park Street through to Beaufort Street, was the cul-de-sac. So part of that assessment, we'll look at that and see whether we can extend it down there. In terms of the parking issues, if someone's parked across a driveway or a footpath or some sort of obstruction or too close to an intersection, that can be reported now, and the city rangers will attend to the site to deal with those people.
And last term, myself and a neighbour called every single day and nothing has changed. Not once did I see a parking inspector come through in all of the last term.
Can we look into this? Okay, the director committed that the city will look into this.
And will we get that in writing? What's the result?
Do you have the contact details? Do we have the contact details of the resident? Yes.
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 Okay, and one more question about a question asked in an ordinary meeting last year. The response was we asked about the numbers at Chisholm College, and I was told that in a report in the Ordinary Council meeting on the 28th of February 2023, Chisholm College was restricted to 1,800 students for their current parking bays. The response that I've got is that there is approximately 1,700 students currently enrolled at Chisholm College. Can that be confirmed, not an approximate? And if that is a confirmation that there is only 1,700 students there, why is the current parking bays that are for the 1,800 limit not being used to the reason that they're for, and streets are being used as a thoroughfare and it's extremely dangerous to people almost getting hit. Students walk up there, people mount the curb, people mount the footpath, and very shortly there's going to be an accident and nothing seems to be, there's nothing being done about it. So we need to put the pressure onto the school. If the council's not doing anything, the pressure needs to be put onto the school.
Okay, so about the numbers of students, do we have any confirmation? Is this something we can get?
Yeah, through the chair. I mean, the figure is approximately 1,700, and that's been extracted from the information that they publish at the schools. We'll probably look into that a bit further and just see what the exact number is and take an assessment from there.
And how they're managing the bays that they say are able to service that number of people.
Yep, that's correct. We can have a look at that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, please come forward.
Malcolm Guy, Bedford. I'm just reiterating what was just said before, is the parking in and the speeds that are going in Edward Street. This has been going on, as I said the last time, for many years, and we've been saying, but it just seems to have been fobbed off with Chisholm College. You know, it's getting worse and worse every day. The speed that they are going over there, I've seen all these speed bumps, which is great, which is, you know, it's a step in the right direction. But I know that with the traffic code, it's up to the council to have traffic calming, and it needs, I know you're going to be looking at this, but we need timelines, you know, to say, yes, we'll have an answer by a certain time, because I've been talking about this for 5 years. The same thing over and over. So we just need something in confirmation now. So look, hopefully by June, as you said, we'll see something happen. Thank
Okay,
you.
so that by June, okay. Thank you. Yes.
It's the quick and the dead. Harvey Tonkin, Noranda. My question relates to Bayswater Waves. Over the last 12, 18 months, I've sent a few SnapSend Solve photos with regard to the tiles. My question is, nothing's happened, I don't get a response back and nothing's changed. Is there a strategy at Bayswater Waves to keep the tiles clean? Because you can hop out of the water, walk up, there's that much dirt there, your feet are black, you wipe it on your towel and you walk another 5 metres and they're black again. So does Bayswater Waves have a strategy for keeping clean? Not in the water, outside.
Thank you. And councillors also raised similar feedback with the city recently. Can you elaborate what will be done?
Yeah, through the chair, I mean, we have increased cleaning at Bayswater Waves in recent times, but still not getting the desired result, obviously, because people are raising that issue with the city. We are looking at that internally. We are having those discussions internally to see what the best course of action is to address that issue.
So that's the answer I got 18 months ago from the manager. Sorry,
Okay,
it was
so
the answer.
I think councillors are also aware of this fully, and we have raised it just recently in a meeting, and I think the officers understood that we do have high expectations. So what I suggest on this, that we'll give the time to the city to look, carefully what can be done, and go back to council if we need to see how we manage this. So it's noted, and we acknowledge the situation.
Okay, just a part of that, is there a possibility, SnapSend Solve has been introduced, and I'm just wondering why I don't get a response when it relates to Bayswater Waves. Is there someone, it's just feedback. I mean, you get frustrated not hearing from people. So all I'm asking is it possible, maybe not specifically to do with that, but with these questions, people send photos, a lot of them I don't see responses, but is that the task is too time consuming?
Yes, and I did raise this issue.
Just take it on note.
Last year, with regards to acknowledgement and notification of residents after they submitted. Director, would you like to add anything?
Just in terms of SnapSend Solve, so the information does come to the city, does trigger other processes internally in the city. We will look into why responses, because those other processes should actually trigger responses as well. So we'll look into why why that's fallen over in certain cases, and see if we can rectify that issue. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think the Director of Corporate Services also would like to add something.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, as part of our Technology One implementation project, we are reintroducing a request management system that when inquiries come through SnapSend Solve, they will be raised as work request in our central system, and part of that has automatic notifications to the customer when that work request is closed. That's not yet implemented, that's what we're working on.
Do we know when? Timeframes generally?
We are hoping to have it implemented in April.
Okay, it's quite soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Thank you, Georgia Johnson, Bayswater. So I have a question for an item not on the agenda.
Yes.
Acknowledging that the Minister for Local Government has recently made a statement on proposed changes to the Cat Act, but given that council, city and residents have been advocating for better cat laws for many years, is the city or has the city made a submission on the current statutory review of the Cat Act 2011 or advocated to the Minister for changes?
With regards to the cat containment issue?
Yeah, with the current.
Because I understood that the state government already confirmed that they will also make separately amendments with regards to the cat containment. So I'm just trying to understand before we go to the city, you want feedback from the city on this specific issue or generally?
Sure, Jen, sure, that would be great. But the actual question was, has the city made a submission to the review of the CAT Act?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I will go to the Manager for Governance.
Through the presiding member. So my understanding is that there are two things happening in the state government. One is an amendment that will allow local governments to change their local laws to allow their local laws to include clauses regarding cat containment. And my understanding is that the time frame for that amendment to the CAT Act is on a shorter pathway to the review of the CAT Act, which is seeking submissions by, I think, the end of August this year. So we'll be shortly going to Council and asking them whether they would like to make a submission on the review of the CAT Act. But my understanding is that the government is not calling for submissions on the introduction of the amendment bill for the local law. I believe that that's going to be presented through to Parliament shortly.
Thanks for additional information.
Thank you. Any other questions on any topics? No. Thank you. So we did receive some questions in writing, and the answers will be on the website. So now we move to confirmation of minutes, and we will move the minutes with an amendments that councillors you have in the run sheet. Can I please have a mover and seconder? Councillor Black is moving. Councillor Loyacono is seconding, and I will put it straight to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous. Presentations. There are no, I'll ask if there are any councillors have any petitions to table. No. There are no presentations this evening. Deputations were held last week. And we will move to the delegates reports. We have two delegates reports this evening. Item 8.4.1. One report is with regards to Councillor Kayla Loyacono, the Welga Essentials Training. Councillor, would you like to move the item? Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Peter Way, would you like to say anything?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to say the modules were practical and engaging, and I did gain a lot of valuable knowledge. I'm looking forward to completing Module 4 so I can complete my training in full. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to say anything, Councillor Peter Way? No. I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's unanimous. And we will go to Councillor Black with regards to your training. Would you like to move it? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Loyacono, would you like to say anything?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just very quickly, these units were informative, useful, and very helpful for my understanding of my obligations under the Local Government Act. I've now completed all 5 modules of my training, so I'd satisfy the requirements of the Act, I understand. And I'd also like to thank the Western Australian Local Government Association for their facilitation for these. I know these are very difficult, but they managed to do a good job of it. And as always, I'd like to encourage any new members, whether in this council or otherwise, to attend these in person. Very valuable for networking and for your understanding.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything, Councillor Loyacono? No. So I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? It is unanimous. Method of dealing with agenda business. We will start with you, Councillor Peter Way, with items to pull. Would you like to pull any specific items? No. Councillor Sosowski?
Nothing.
Councillor Loyacono? Councillor McDonald? Councillor Black?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. 10.3.1 Ivanhoe Reserve Playground petition.
Yes. Anything else?
Do I need to pull 10.4.2? It's behind closed doors, or is that?
Sorry, which one?
10.4.2 is occurring behind closed doors, I understand. Is that correct?
The tender one?
Yeah, does that need to be pulled?
We will move it behind closed doors soon.
Yeah, I'll pull that one if needs to.
So would you like to, we talk about it? Okay, so I wrote it down, thank you. Yes, Councillor Leder. Nothing, Councillor Sutherland?
I think we have to do 10.1.1, do some nominations to Development WA.
Yes.
Land, so.
Yes?
Yeah, that's the only one.
Okay. And that's it. Thank you. So, okay, so we will now move to consideration of reports, given there is so much interest with regards to item 11.1. Councillors have suggested we will bring this item forward. Can I please have a mover and seconder to bring 11.1 forward? Councillor Salland is moving. Councillor Lede is seconding. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Thank you. It's unanimous. So we will start, everyone, with item 11.1, notice of motion from Councillor Sutherland. So, Councillor, you're moving it. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Iacono, I'm assuming you're moving what we have in the agenda. Feel free to speak.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I want to express my thanks to everyone who took the time to write submissions, make deputations and share their views on this motion. Our democracy is something worth celebrating. The fact that we live in a country where people can hold diverse opinions and feel confident expressing them openly is a privilege we should never take for granted. I brought this motion forward because I believe strongly that this council should celebrate our National Day with pride. It is an opportunity for our community to come together, recognise local achievements and welcome new citizens into our Australian family. This day holds profound significance for countless Australians who migrated here and have embraced our citizenship. Approximately 35% of our city's residents were born overseas. By celebrating Australia Day, we ensure new citizens are surrounded by their community at a moment that marks the beginning of their Australian story. Importantly, celebrating the day does not mean ignoring or excluding the stories of our First Nation people. There is no reason why our council cannot hold events that are inclusive, culturally sensitive and reflective. We can honour the experience of the people while celebrating the progress and unity of modern Australia. There has been much commentary about the impact of colonisation on the first people, First Australians. We are all aware of the hardships endured by the First Nation communities, both in Bayswater and around Australia. But it's also true, 19th century Australia was a difficult era from people from all over the world. Life was harsh for early settlers as well. We cannot simply teach history solely through the lens of the 21st century. We cannot undo the past, but we have acknowledged it. The national apology delivered by the Prime Minister Kevin Rudd in 2008, the annual observance of Sorry Day, Reconciliation Week and NAIDOC Week all serve as important moments of reflection and recognition. Our council also proudly displays the Uluru Statement in our foyer, acknowledging its significance. Instead of allowing this day to become one of sorrow, let us celebrate what unites us. May we look at the achievements that makes Australia a global leader, the invention of the secret ballot, pioneering women's suffrage, advancement in science and education, and the remarkable progress in just over 200 years to become one of the world's top 20 economies. The contribution of Indigenous Australians across every facet of life, sport, culture, public service and politics. The May 2025 election saw 11 Indigenous Australians elected to Parliament from across the political spectrum. There's also a record number of young Indigenous students now attending university, an achievement that deserves recognition and celebration. Regarding the date of Australia Day, whether it falls on the 26th, 28th, whether it's in December, January, February, it's not a decision for the local government. The authority rests solely with the federal government. If the 26th of January is considered an issue of national significance, then it's up to Canberra to change it. At present, I'm not aware of any appetite of such change. I'll also note this Australia Day, there was a lot of state and federal MPs celebrating the Citizenship Day as well. I noticed in the report, and there's also been talk in some of the deputations about the concerns with the Bondi Massacre and the Invasion Day terrorist attack in January. But if we apply this logic consistently, would we also stop holding other events, Anzac Day, Harmony Day, the Avon Descent? the Indigenous leaders themselves have spoken about this unity. Senator Malarindiri McCarthy reminded us that the recent terrorist attack in Perth was not an attack on one group, but an attack on all of Australians, and I totally agree with that. Well, that's your opinion. I'm allowed to have mine.
I would just ask no interjections, please. This is not Parliament.
It definitely was. If we talk about costs, the mention's been about that. Costs are not a barrier in this instance. Any event held outside of standard hours incurs staffing costs. This will be the same, whether it's a citizenship ceremony or the Avon Descent. Other Band 1 local governments manage this without difficulty. As for reputational concerns, differing opinions are fundamental to democracy. If the Council reinstates its previous position, we should expect to receive support and praise, just as we may receive criticism. That's the nature of public decision making. It's worth noting that many councils, besides Bassendean, and including Perth, South Perth, Joondalup, Canning, Swan and Stirling, all continue to hold their citizenship ceremonies on the 26th of January. Several councils in WA, including Wanneroo and Rockingham, recently reinstated their days on the 26th of January. They changed it and then they brought it back. And there are several in Victoria that have reverted back to this date after trialling alternatives. Our own community consultation, while limited in participation, showed a preference for retaining the ceremony on Australia Day. 47% in favour, 44% against, 9 indifferent. And it's worth noting too, out of the 23 respondents that identified as Indigenous, 18 supported holding the ceremony on the 26th. The 2023 voice referendum also demonstrated that Australians do not like being divided. Results varied across the suburbs, but overall the message was clear. I'd also like to acknowledge the work of our RAC committee. Over the past 2 years, they've contributed significantly to the cultural understanding, truth-telling and celebrations like NAIDOC Week. And I do understand that there's 4 pillars of our plan, including respect, opportunities, governance, etc. These are very important to helping deliver reconciliation in the community. But I might add too that they're not binding the decisions. They're part of a consultative process, not a directive one. Finally, I want to leave you with the words of 2 Indigenous senators, Jacinta Price, who's, yes, okay. So she said, Australia Day can be a moment of unity, a day to recognise the opportunities this country provides and the shared future we are building together. She encourages us to embrace our national story with honesty and pride. And Senator Kirian Little, South Australian senator, spoke about Australia Day as a celebration of democratic freedoms, equality before the law and a chance for every person, regardless of background, to build a better life. She reminds us that acknowledging the past does not prevent us from recognising achievements and resilience of Indigenous Australians today, something that we should all be proud of. Councillors, let us look to what unites us, not what divides us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sutherland. I will now go to the second, Councillor Iacono.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. For me, this motion is not about diminishing reconciliation nor dismissing the concerns that have been strongly and respectfully raised. I want to acknowledge at the outset that I've spoken with many, many people in my ward, not just those who write submissions or attend rallies, but everyday residents, families, small business owners, migrants and long-term locals. While there is a vocal and organised group opposed to holding the ceremony on the 26th of January, there's also a significant silent majority who feel deeply that becoming an Australian citizen on Australia Day carries meaning, symbolism and pride. Importantly, our own community consultation in 2023 showed that a slight majority supported retaining the citizenship ceremony on Australia Day. That for me is not a decisive mandate for change. It demonstrates a community that is closely divided. In circumstances like that, I feel that the council must exercise judgment, ensuring that the quieter members of our community are not overlooked in favour of those more publicly engaged. Moving the ceremony does not resolve the national debate. It just relocates it. The broader issue of the date for our National Day is a matter for the Commonwealth Government and the Australian people. As a local government, I feel our role is to deliver civic functions in a way that reflects our community. We must also be careful not to frame this decision as one of inclusion versus exclusion. Inclusion means making space for multiple perspectives, including those residents who feel proud of the 26th of January, and more broadly, our national date, and do not feel represented in this debate. For me, the decision is ultimately about civic symbolism, community expectations, and whether the council reflects the full spectrum of its residents, including the many who do not campaign, but who quietly support retaining the ceremony on this day.
Sorry, Councillor, just as Councillor Sutherland, if you could just click on your mic. Thank you. You can continue. Oh, that's it? Okay, thank you. I would like to jump in and move an amendment, please, to the motion on the table, which all councillors have in the run sheet. Can we please have it on the screen? I will read it out for everyone. We were talking about adding the following words to the end of the motion. And this event also be used as an opportunity to recognize the strength and survival of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and the world's oldest continuous culture, and reflect on the need for a more just and united future. I will ask the mover and seconder if you agree to incorporate into your motion. Yes, yes. Thank you very much. So this has been incorporated into the substantive motion. So we will continue now the debate on the amended motion. Can we have the whole thing together? Is it possible? Yeah, so okay, so they will prepare it just so everyone can see that, but both parts are going to be together. Does anyone want to speak against the motion? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm speaking against the motion that's being moved by Councillor Sutherland this evening. I'd like to start off by thanking all those residents who have provided deputations and questions, those who have taken the initiative to email, to call and to reach out to all councillors to share their views on this, and to those present in the gallery this evening. I believe that our decisions as a council are strengthened when we have the chance to consult with our community, who are our major stakeholders, and to make them part of the decision-making process. This brings me to my first point. The motion that was passed by Council in March 2024 was not the only resolved motion on this matter. It was merely the decision point. That journey started back in February 2023, when Council resolved to request the CEO to consult with what was then known as the Reconciliation Advisory Committee and to report back on the suitability of an alternative date. With another motion resolved in May 2023 to initiate community consultation on the proposed move, that was 13 months of work to consult, analyse and form recommendations for Council to consider. This motion unfortunately seeks to undo that work, those 13 months of community consultation, with one motion. Secondly, this motion also seeks to go against the original advice of our Reconciliation Advisory Committee, now named the Reconciliation Advisory Panel. It is difficult to seek the advice of the panel regarding this motion when it has only just been constituted and is not scheduled to meet for the first time until next week. These panel members have nominated and been selected to be an advisory voice to Council on matters of reconciliation, including elders and leaders. I believe it is unfair, in my own opinion, to expect individual panel members to make their own deputation on this matter in the course of 5 calendar days when compared to the previous process which led up to the March 2024 resolution. Consultation and discussion over months compared to 5 calendar days and without formally consulting our panel so constituted by those around this table to provide us with advice and guidance in these matters. The same panel who expressed cultural sensitivities about holding our ceremony on 26th January, and the same panel who we are asking to assist us in developing the next iteration of our Reconciliation Action Plan. I want to reiterate that this decision has not been about changing the date. That prerogative sits with the federal government, the same government who has delegated to us, local governments, the prerogative to move our ceremony to either side of the national holiday by up to 3 days. And much like every other delegated power afforded to us under our enabling instruments, we must not shirk that responsibility for leadership or decision-making when the community and our advisory panels have called for it. There is much more that could be said about this motion, more than what I can fit into an allocated 5-minute speaking time. I do not feel it is necessary to further repeat the community's important thoughts that have been shared to us councillors over the past week or so, or the material facts outlaid in the officer's report. Instead, I want to focus on something that stood out to me while researching the motion that was passed by Council in March 2024. In particular, comments made by the Deputy Mayor during that debate. I believe that they are just as relevant today as they were 2 years ago. In making this decision, I take into account not only the outcome of the consultation process, which showed very close results between those who supported changing the date of our citizenship ceremony and those who did not, but I also rely on my knowledge and understanding of the terrible injustices that our Indigenous communities suffered since colonisation. So when I consider the request from our Reconciliation Advisory Committee and all the comments submitted by many city residents, I do not find it too hard to hold the ceremony and the event on a different date. Everyone should feel respected and welcome to attend a city event. It is a small step in our journey for reconciliation, which we are, as a council, committed to. Those words ring more true today than ever before. Councillors, I ask you to reflect on these sentiments that I've shared with you and what our community has expressed directly with us. I urge you to consider your vote carefully on this motion and to not support what I believe is a step backwards for our city, for our community, and for our journey towards reconciliation. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone want to speak for the motion? Councillor Ostasowski, please.
Thank you. Citizenship is a significant civic milestone, and it is the moment that new Australians formally commit to our nation, its values, and its future. Having an opportunity to become an Australian on Australia Day, whatever you believe that date should be possible for anyone who wishes to do so. This motion allows for that to happen again at our city. I am comfortable supporting this motion, knowing that a majority of people in Central Ward would support the return of the annual Australia Day citizenship ceremony and associated community events to January 26.
Thank you. Anyone would like to speak against? Councillor MacDonald.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The intent of this motion is symbolism. The vast majority of people are sworn in on different days throughout the year. I was sworn in March 2012, and it made no difference whatsoever. Unity will never occur on January 26th. There's just too much of a division of opinions. It's too split. When Indigenous people describe January 26th as a day of mourning, they're literally describing history. They're not saying this to be divisive. They're not saying this to make you feel bad. They're not meant or to make you feel less Australian yourself if you were born here. They're just telling you how this day makes them feel. Their history is rather somber. On the 26th of January 1788, there were approximately 1 million Indigenous people on this continent. 100 years later, in 1900, there was 90,000. Disease, murder, and driven off their land, 90% gone. But Indigenous folks are told just to get over it. Stop being divisive. Any culture on Earth that was wiped out by 90% would hold a negative sentiment towards that day or that period, that time of the calendar. First Nations Australians are telling us loud and clear how they feel about the state. And in 2024, the Bayswater Council considered this with the Reconciliation Committee, and they changed the date. It was a small gesture on a single citizenship throughout the year, but it was symbolic nonetheless, and it was a considered decision from the previous council. Reversing that decision today sends the message from this Bayswater Council that we hear you and we don't give a damn. It says stuff your reconciliation, is what it says. I will not be supporting this motion.
Thank you. Anyone would like to speak for the motion? Councillor Peter Way.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So I'll just start by saying thank you everyone for their deputations last week, submissions and the questions raised tonight and their attendance here this evening. I'll start by saying the very first Pitaway to arrive here in Australia came as a convict, and he was in chains, but he also came as an immigrant. And my wife and her family came to this country in 1983 as immigrants as well. Although many years apart, they came with the same intention as most people who come to this country, to build a better life, to work hard, to contribute, to embed themselves in the communities, to raise families and enjoy what this great nation has to offer. Australia Day is not just about marking a date, it celebrates the achievements and contributions of remarkable people in our community. It also provides those who have chosen to become Australian citizens the opportunity to publicly affirm their commitment to this country. They choose to do this freely, not because they are forced to, but because they believe in Australia. To deny them the opportunity to celebrate their citizenship on Australia Day, and instead move it to another date, diminishes that moment. It sends the wrong message. It is, in my view, a mistake. Migrants give everything to this country. They raise families, they run businesses, they work hard. They have equal opportunity to become mayors, councillors, politicians, teachers, police, officers and firefighters. Some have even opened the batting for Australian in cricket. They do it proudly under the flag of a united Australia. This is what makes this nation unique and extraordinary. Nothing makes me prouder than seeing an Australian win an Olympic medal, and we saw that recently at Winter Olympics. When we win gold and watching our flag being raised and singing our national anthem are moments that make me extremely proud to be an Australian. Are we suggesting we step away from that pride too? Australia Day remains a recognised national day across the country, and until there is a formal change to the federal government, it will remain on this date. And I'll refer to one of the questions that I asked last week of the officers and their response. I asked, does the city recognise Australia Day on its civic calendar? And if so, are officers aware of any current or proposed plans to remove or cancel Australia Day from the city's calendar? The response was, Australia Day is a nationally recognised public holiday set by the Commonwealth and relevant state legislation, not by local government. This city does not have the authority to remove, cancel or alter Australia Day from the official public calendar. Sorry, that was the response. So I also want to address the officers' comments in this notice of motion, drawing links to events such as the Bondi Beach massacre, Invasion Day or pro-Palestinian rallies as justification for potential disruption here, is in my view an unfounded and fear-based argument. Other councils across Western Australia conduct citizenship ceremonies without incidents, and we should not be governed by hypotheticals rooted in fear. And I'll refer to the other question I asked last week of the officers. The question was, prior to the 2023 council decision to move the citizenship ceremony away from Australia Day, are there any council records of credible threats, serious security incidents or threatening behaviour associated with the citizenship ceremonies when they were previously held on Australia Day? The response I received was the city is not aware of any threats or serious incidents related to Australia Day citizenship ceremonies prior to 2023. The city will continue to review records and provide an update if further relevant information is identified. So I'll put it as there have been no recordings of any incidents involving the city on past citizenship ceremonies being held on Australia Day. I'll refer to some of the costs associated with rallies like the Invasion Day or pro-Palestinian ones. In Victoria alone, extensive protest policing over the years has exceeded $25 million. It has also been reported that where other major events and protests coincide, daily police overtime bills have exceeded $2 million per day. The city's event of holding a citizenship ceremony on Australia Day hardly compares, so I refute any claim that it carries extra cost than any other event we hold in the city at present. After some of the comments here tonight, which I respect, are ratepayers saying we should cancel all community events that are held on a public holiday or a weekend because of these associated costs. I think they missed the point in the city being able to provide these events outside of a normal working week so the community can attend in their own free time. Most community events are held on a weekend, so I just don't see the argument. Now, I understand some Australians will not celebrate on this day and is that a democratic right to do so, but to request that no one is allowed to either is not democratic nor inclusive of all people who live here. I acknowledge, as most Australians do, that our nation's history of settlement includes profound injustice towards Indigenous Australians, including the tragedy of the stolen generations in most recent times. Yes, there is more work to be done. We can recognise the pain of the past and celebrate the unity of the present. And just as we say on Anzac Day, lest we forget, as it's about acknowledging and honouring our history as well. If we fail to celebrate our success as a nation and as a community, including here in the city of Bayswater, and instead retreat into the shadows of our past, we will struggle to move forward together as a nation. Only in last year, a decision was made by Council to install an additional flagpole to visibly demonstrate our support for the Pride movement. This was about inclusion. It was about recognising people's rights to stand proud and be they are. Surely the same principle should apply here. If we believe in pride, if we believe in standing tall, if we believe in unity and the symbols and flags that matter to people, then we should be consistent. We cannot champion pride and visibility in one context yet retreat from it in another because uncomfortable or contested. Leadership requires consistency. If we stand for inclusion, we stand for it across the board. I support Councillor Sutherland in a motion, including the new amendment that's just been made, and I urge my fellow councillors to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peterway. Councillor Ledder.
Thank you. I'm really sad to be considering this motion tonight. I've got a few things to say. Hopefully I have enough time. Firstly, about the process of it, and then about what it means culturally and socially. Firstly, when Council changed the date for our January citizenship ceremony and awards 2 years ago, it was a culmination of a process that took over a year. It involved community consultation and really meaningful engagement with the Reconciliation Advisory Committee, who shared their deeply personal stories with those present about the harm of Australia Day as a day of celebration, as opposed to its meaning as a day of mourning for Aboriginal people. And they also shared the wounds of our shared history that had been inflicted upon them. That is not a small thing, and we should hold that fragile trust with much more care than this. I will say that I think that we have failed by not taking the last 2 years to centre and share that truth-telling more broadly. So rarely in these kinds of places do we talk openly about the fact that this country was violently taken from Aboriginal people. Instead of wanting to talk about it, we want to celebrate their day of mourning. I don't support the amendment either. I think it's a mirage cast across the top of the motion as if we're not being disrespectful because, look, we literally wrote that we respect Aboriginal culture. I think it shows a deep ignorance of the issues here, trying to insert Aboriginal people into that to celebrate culture when what is being called for is a deep acknowledgement of stolen land, stolen children, stolen futures, and the harm caused by celebrating our history and pretending that we don't celebrate that. We don't talk about that. As for citizenship ceremonies, I think it puts prospective citizens in a really yucky position. There are citizenship ceremonies throughout the year that aren't tainted by an erasure of this country's real history. If Australia Day is so special, then is it less special for all the citizens for all the other months of the year? And for those who truly want the date changed, why wring your hands about the current arrangement? Everyone deflecting and saying, well, it's the federal government could change the date if they wanted to. How do you think that happens? Let's not act as if we are powerless little councillors just waiting for our parents to arrange things better. What we decide here matters and directly shapes the national conversation. It certainly shapes the culture of our local community. One of the deputies last week, speaking in favour of the motion, the only deputy last week speaking in favour of the motion, talked about the sense of belonging that Australia Day gives and also acknowledged that it causes pain to First Nations people. So I ask, whose belonging matters? Councillor Sutherland talked about unity, but unity for who? This is really a plea to acknowledge that Aboriginal participation in our shared experience matters. Saying, oh, but we need a date where we can all celebrate and this is what we've got, is actually part of the problem. It says we know Aboriginal people won't celebrate on this day, and actually that doesn't matter very much to us. We have to be able to expand our thinking beyond what we like for ourselves. Not a kumbaya moment. Think deeper. Imagine holding a celebration on Anzac Day. It's not just pain to First Nations people. Like many people in the gallery, and I note we have a very full gallery tonight, this motion deeply pains me personally, and I think many of them. The monopoly on national identity that the fervent Australia Day proponents insist on doesn't just exclude Aboriginal people, it also excludes every resident who strives for a more inclusive, caring and compassionate community. Every prospective citizen who doesn't want a tainted celebration. I saw one of the councillors on social media challenge people opposing this, well, do you still support Australia Day? Like it's some kind of a gotcha. And I tell you what, I can't do it. The erasure of all of this history into this particular package of national identity. I don't want to celebrate that national identity. I object to celebrating a national day based on that identity that still holds central the erasure of Aboriginal people from public life. I want to celebrate the community that I am a part of, but with my eyes open about the truth of our national foundation and the work still to come to repair the horrors of the past. So the harm isn't just to First Nations people, it is also about harm to our culture and our communities of perpetuating a false and harmful mythology of national identity, knowing the cost and not caring, or worse, loving the cost. I hope no one on our council has such malicious racism in their heart that they love the fact that this debate causes deep pain to people. But the reality is that it's the same outcome whether the harm is intentional or not. So when people talk about this motion being divisive, I hope councillors don't think defensively, don't pretend that they are not playing a part, intentionally or not, in a culture war that causes risk and harm to people on the basis of their race and culture. And that culture war is food for white nationalism right now. And white nationalism motivated the terrorists to throw a bomb into a crowd of people this year on January 26. I know people don't want me to make that connection, but it is not a long bow to draw. The pathway is straight and uncluttered between these debates and real-world risk and harm. I wrote about this motion on social media and most of the comments were very supportive, but I also had to block a lot of hate speech. People saying they wish that bomb on January 26 had gone off. This is the fear that lies behind everything I am saying tonight. It isn't just this one isolated terrorist act. There are also people who would have cheered it on. Responsible people in positions of power shouldn't be thinking about how they can get their fun party back right now, less than a month after a terrorist attack allegedly committed against Aboriginal people on the basis of their race and on the very day that is being discussed here. I actually don't have sufficient words. I know I've used many of them, but they don't feel adequate for how irresponsible this feels right now. Lastly, I just want the public to know that we receive so many emails from residents supportive of the current arrangement. What I saw is people caring enough to talk to their neighbours about it, people turning up to council. It's been heartening to see so much direct support, maybe more than I have seen on any single issue while I've been on council. I've seen people activating and talking to their neighbours, engaging in a way that is really rare. I want all First Nations people to know and all of our community to know, regardless of the outcome and the views of council on this motion, that the community supports you fiercely and knows how to show up when it matters.
Thank you. Thank you. So I will speak on the item as well, because I'm the last one to speak. Firstly, about the amendment, and thank you to the mover and seconder for accepting it. I thought that it is important that we emphasise the respect that we have for the Aboriginal community and our commitment to our ongoing reconciliation journey, even if there are different views about this specific issue. 2 years ago, when we debated this vexed issue, I recognise, as was mentioned tonight, the terrible injustices that the Aboriginal people have gone through. And in an attempt to seek unity on council and in the community, I proposed a compromise option to hold our Australia Day community event with the citizenship ceremony on the closest weekend to Australia Day. And the quote, Councillor Black, is with regards to my wicked motion. But everyone else on council dug in their heels, and I was the only one who voted for that option. I tried. This year's experience with having the Australia Day citizenship ceremony on a weekday evening was exactly what I didn't want to see. And unlike most people, I attended this year's ceremony. The change completely watered down the importance of our annual city celebration. There was no city event open to the wider community that day, as we used to have, with families and kids enjoying the celebration together here outside our civic centre. Residents contacted me and questioned the lack of public celebration. What we did have looked like an almost ordinary citizenship ceremony. There was no reference to Australia Day that evening, and the city's promotion of the event on its website and social media did not mention celebrating Australia at all. It disappointed me, as it disappointed many others in our community. 2 years ago, I specifically raised strong concerns about the ceremony potentially being pushed to a workday, and the same is likely to happen next year. So the city tested the change, and it simply didn't work. I now have two options in front of me, and after considering carefully all aspects and views, I will support the amended motion, as I think it's the better option from the two. I ask again, please no interjection. If you want people to go out, you can please go out. Please respect all councillors, including myself. I will support the amended motion, as I think it's the better option from the two in light of this year's experience. Australia Day is a special day for many of our residents, including me, as I became, like many other migrants, an Australian citizen in our city on Australia Day. Like many, we've always appreciated celebrating our country. I also acknowledge again that the date of Australia Day is still a sensitive issue, and I understand that the date causes angst and concern for many in the Aboriginal community and others. But choosing our national day is a federal issue, and during my time on our local council, I have persistently rejected any involvement with federal matters. Just to give one example, a few years ago, I voted against a motion related to the war in Ukraine. Not because I don't care, but because I simply don't think local councils should deal with foreign affairs or with any other federal issues. I committed to residents each election that as a local councillor, I will focus on local issues. And on reflection, I think that it would have been much better for council not to get involved with the debate around Australia Day. The Prime Minister passed the buck to local governments on this issue, but this is a national matter to be dealt with by the federal government. I thank all those who took the time to contact me, and I encourage anyone with strong views to contact our federal representatives who are responsible, and the office of the Member for Perth is just down the road. I will continue to support our reconciliation journey and various actions arising from our engagement with the Aboriginal community, as I've done during my 9 years on council, including my recent support for the dual naming in Bardon Park, Mulgamangup, and our current work on the innovative Reconciliation Action Plan 2026 to 2028. And I'll finalize by saying that this is a long list of all the actions that we implemented and we're still implementing with regards to this topic, our reconciliation journey. Very comprehensive. I supported 100% of them, like most councillors. If any councillor wants, any member of the public is interested to know what we have done in this area, you can email me and I'm happy to send you the full list. It's quite long, so I will not go through all of it. I'll finish with that and I will go back to you, Councillor Sutherland, to close the debate.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Obviously, we've got very diverse opinions on this issue. I just want to add, where is my notes? Look, I'm really getting tired of this making one feel guilty or shame in these arguments. It doesn't help anyone. And I'm proud to be Australian. We've got to celebrate our Indigenous heritage, our foundations and our multicultural or immigrant character. That's how I see Australia at this point. Much been said about, obviously, thanks Councillor McDonald, you Australian to yourself, or to Australia from Canada, similar probably sort of history. This day we can turn it around and say, what an achievement. You saying we've nearly killed 1 million Indigenous Australians. At the last census, we have 1 million Indigenous Australians in the country. So that is something to be proud of, the longevity of this culture and the fact that these people have endured so much. I've already said before the achievements of Indigenous Australians. We have had so many cricket stars, football stars, politicians. The young ones are going into uni now. Never before we got so many. So that, again, we come back to the longevity and the gutsy determination of these people to keep going on. But Australia Day is not just about one group of people. It's about our whole society. And we have to respect that. If we have to have one day to come together. I do not agree about that Invasion Day. It was a terrible thing. It was shocking. We all know that. But it was one person. I don't think it was white supremacy. And again, these terms are bandied around like racism. The definition of racism is excluding people, excluding. And I don't see anybody excluded in the city of Bayswater and indeed in Australia. I'd grant you in the isolated communities, it's really difficult to get services, but that's different from being excluded. So I think we need to take this on board. We have to, we have admitted our past and we have to move forward. We have got a great plan coming up with the Reconciliation Committee. We've got an actual plan that has 4 pillars, and we're going to be moving forward, whether that's truth-telling and other activities. So I suggest we move on and suggest... and the other thing, I'm just lastly saying, changing the date, all right, will do little for those that need improved programs. We need to have actions, and by being positive and moving forward, these things will improve. So I implore councillors to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could please just click on your mic. And I will now go to the vote. All those in favour of the motion, raise your hands. It is Councillor Loyacono, Councillor Ostasowski, Councillor Peterway, Councillor Sutherland and myself. All those against, Councillor Lede, Councillor Black and Councillor MacDonald. The motion is carried. Councillors, we will now move... Councillors, we will now... are we able to close the door? They went. Great. We will now move to consideration of the reports in section 10 that have been withdrawn by councillors. First, councillors, can I please have a mover and seconder to move consideration of item 10.4.2, Tender 28-2025, CCTV managed service to be discussed behind closed doors in section 14, as it contains information that is considered confidential in accordance with section 5.23(4)(c) of the Local Government Act 1995. Can I please get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Black is moving, Councillor seconder is Councillor MacDonald. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour to send it to section 14 of the agenda. Thank you. It's unanimous. Now, councillors, we will start with item 10.1.1, nominations to Development WA Midland Land Redevelopment Committee. Now I'm going to ask if besides the mayor, anyone else would like to be nominated to be on the Midland Land Redevelopment Committee. Councillor Black is nominating anyone else? No. So we have 2 nominations. Can I please have someone moving the item with those 2 names? Councillor Leda is moving, Councillor Black is seconding. Councillor Leda, would you like to say anything? Councillor Black? Anyone else would like anything? So I'll put it straight to the vote. All those in favour? It is unanimous. Thank you. We now move to item 10.2.1, financial report for period ended 31st January 2026. We need an absolute majority. Do I have someone to move the item? So 10.2.1, financial report. Can I please have a mover and seconder? Councillor Loyacono is moving, a seconder. Councillor MacDonald is seconding. Anything, Councillor Loyacono? Anything, Councillor MacDonald? Anything, councillors? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? It is unanimous. Thank you. The next item is 10.3.1, Ivanhoe Reserve Playground Petition. Councillor Black, you pulled this one?
Yes, I have, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, and I understand you're moving the officer's recommendation with an amendment?
Well, in the run sheet, it's labelled as an alternative motion, so I'm moving the motion that's in the run sheet.
Yes, which is the officer's recommendation with another limb.
That's correct, yes, thank you.
All councillors have it in the run sheet. First, I will ask if there is a seconder. Councillor Loyacono is seconding. Councillor Black, can you please first highlight the additional limb? Maybe you can read it.
Yes, thank you. I've added an additional limb to the officer's recommendation, which ends number 2 and number 3 considers the petition and request of residents as part of the city play space plan, a review currently scheduled to take place by 2028.
Thank you, and you can speak on the item.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I want to firstly thank local residents for their petition and getting involved in advocacy in their local community. Petitions like this assist the city and us councillors in identifying what issues are of importance to local residents, but which may be missed or not within the picture in the grand scheme of the whole district. I am moving the officer's recommendation with this amendment because while I do agree with the officer's comments regarding prioritisation within the play space plan and the financial considerations, I want to make sure that this petition and the request by local residents are considered for the next play space plan review. This does not lock the city into providing a playground as requested. Rather, it highlights that if it is identified that additional playground facilities are needed in this general area, that there is already an established request and desire to have it at this location. As many of you may know, I am a father of a young daughter and soon about to have a young son as well. Having quality parks and playgrounds in our city is important to me and to a lot of families. The officer's report notes that there are 117 play assets across our city. We unfortunately have finite resources at our disposal, both for capital costs and maintenance of these assets. And what I would like to see is our playgrounds having quality offerings for our local residents. That includes safe, usable equipment that is well maintained. That includes accessible play equipment and services so that kids of all abilities can have fun on our playgrounds. And that includes ensuring that these assets are backed up with the appropriate adjacent infrastructure, such as benches, tables, barbecues, and water refreshment stations for both humans and animals. I know these things are also not free and also do come with a cost to our forward capital works plan. And we have the unenviable task of having to choose what to do with our limited resources. But as we all know, that burden is shackled to our councillor prefix and a responsibility that we do not take lightly. My comments on this should not be construed as not now, not ever for a playground at Ivanhoe Reserve. But my amendment intends for the city to give Ivanhoe the due consideration and weight for the next iteration of the play space plan when we look at the broader picture of where we need play spaces to meet the needs of our local residents across the whole city. And if Ivanhoe Reserve is part of that picture, and if I have the privilege from my community of being placed in the seat come 2028, that's something I will support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Councillor Loyacono.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge and thank the residents who submitted the petition. It's clear there is strong community interest in this space, and that's always welcome. As mentioned in the officer's report, Ivanhoe Reserve is a pocket park, and our current play space plan really focuses on renewing existing assets rather than creating new ones. Given this, I do believe our time and resources are better spent investing in existing neighbourhood parks rather than duplicating infrastructure at Ivanhoe Reserve. That being said, I do support Councillor Black's amendment to ensure that this request is considered in the next play space plan review.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on the item? No. So I will go straight to the vote. All those in favour? It is unanimous. Thank you, councillors, and we can call Councillor Ostasowski back to the room. Thank you. Councillor, an amended motion has been carried by council. We are moving to item 10.5.1.2.3, Policy Review Electronic Attendance Policy. Now, no one pulled this item, but we do have the committee recommendation that we were asked by the city to add another, to revise it. Is this correct? To revise it because of some issues with the attachments. Everyone has the, I think, the copy of the amended motion proposed. Anyone would like to move it? Would you like us to read it? So what is proposed? I think it was just the attachments. Maybe I will go to one of the manager for governance will explain.
Through the presiding member, just to explain, when this item went to the policy committee asked for some changes to be made to the policy. Those changes were that the mayor, if the mayor wanted to attend a meeting electronically, that they would seek the approval of the deputy mayor. And there was another amendment to clause 12, which was to remove the word preferably, and to remove clause 27, which related to the use of headphones. We updated the attachment and have included it in the agenda. So the recommendation from the committee just needed to be updated to say that this new attachment in attachment 5 was the one being adopted by the council. So that's what we're proposing in this revised recommendation to the council tonight. Okay, but we are not changing anything from what the committee did. It's just in a new attachment. Thank you. Do I have it, please, a mover and seconder? Councillor Peterway is moving. Councillor Loyacono is seconding. Anything, Councillor Peterway? Anything, Councillor Loyacono? Anyone else would like to speak? No. So I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Those were all the items that Councillor pulled. I'm just checking that we didn't miss any item, councillors. No. So can I please have a mover and seconder to adopt the remaining items in section 10 en bloc? Councillor Black is moving, Councillor Sutherland is seconding. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you, it's unanimous. No other notice of motions. Questions from members without notice. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Could the city, through you of course, could the city please provide an update to works for the Roberts Street traffic calming project and the expected timeframe for completion? My understanding is that these works are scheduled to take place before the end of the financial year, and I know that nearby residents are keen to see this permanent traffic calming project finish soon.
I will go to the director.
Through the chair, so the project is in the budget, obviously. So the city actually made an application for some grant funding to try and bring the cost down on the project. We just were notified by the funding program that we weren't successful. So we are going to pursue the project anyway. It's included in the budget as being fully muni funded, and we're about to start the project. The first steps will be to finalise the designs and get the designs prepared suitable for getting quotations and getting a suitable contractor to undertake the works. So the aim is to have the works finished by the end of the financial year. So we're actually embarking on that project now, and we should be able to get that finished on time.
Any other questions? Councillor Ostasowski.
Thank you. My question is in regards to the new Bath Road, Morley Drive roundabout. Is Main Roads required to reinstate the verges of people, who were impacted from the construction of that roundabout?
Yes, I will go to the director.
Through the chair, there should be reinstatement works carried out. In terms of which properties, I'm not entirely sure which ones are affected, but I will take that on notice and look into the matter.
Thanks. And so you're saying it's Main Roads that would do the reinstatements, not the city?
Through the chair, there is some landscaping works that we are delivering on behalf of Main Roads. So there is that transaction where funds will come through to us to deliver those works. But in terms of anything outside of that, it should be reinstated as part of the project.
Thank you. So just to confirm then, residents who live on Bath Street whose verges have been impacted by those works, they should expect that Main Roads would be back to repair their reticulation and their grass and their trees, etc.
Through the chair, that's correct. It should be reinstated and repaired. If something's been disconnected or broken through the process, it should be repaired. I will look into those items and see where they're at.
And one last question then, for people who wish to report that their verges and their reticulation, trees, etc. have not been reinstated, where are they best to send those reports to?
Probably in the first instance would be to send it to the city. We can follow that up with the contractor or Main Roads.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Does the city have a policy in regards to the installation of baby change tables, either permanent fixture or folding types in accessible bathrooms in the city?
Are you referring to public toilets?
Public toilets, yes.
I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, we don't have a policy per se in terms of that we apply it across the city, but it is something that when we do upgrades, that is something that is considered as part of that upgrade to make sure that we meet the expectations of the community.
Yep. Does the city maintain a list of accessible bathrooms which do not have a change table available? And if so, could that be provided?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't catch that question. So is that if there is some that are out there that don't have them, can it be reported to the city?
Does the city maintain a list of those which do not have, for example, Riverside Gardens accessible bathrooms do not have change tables in them?
Through the chair, we are undertaking inspections of all our buildings and structures around the city as part of our asset management process, and we do look at compliance in terms of whether they meet all the the required requirements in terms of the standards, and we also look at what's provided in each of those facilities. We are also looking at undertaking some studies in terms of our public toilet facilities as well across the city, and that's going to be something that would undertake in the future, and then basically determine the program works out of that.
Councillor Leder.
Thank you. Will the city provide councillors again with cultural awareness training? I know we had some last year. I think I'm the only sitting councillor who was actually there. We've had a big turnover on council. Can we do that again?
Yes.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yeah, we can certainly look at that, Councillor Latta.
Yes, Councillor Peterway.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just want to ask the officers, the Banara nursery site, the old Banara nursery site, on Camboon and Banara is becoming worse. Fences are down, grass is again growing probably above its height, and we are in the middle of summer. So I just wanted to know, are the officers aware of the site in terms of its degrading of that site? It's just getting worse and nothing seems to be getting done with fences not being repaired or replaced.
I will go to the Director. Community Services.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for the question. Personally, I'm not aware, but I'll check with my team and get back to you to see where that is at and what can be done.
So it will be taken on notice. Any other? Councillor MacDonald.
Yeah, sorry, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a quick question around the mobile food truck policy. Last year or the year before, it was extended to 300 metres from brick and mortar premises. Has there been any prosecutions since that change was occurred in, I believe it was 1 to 2 years ago in council?
Any prosecutions, or maybe you're asking if there are any breaches, right?
Yeah, sorry, any breaches or
any
prosecutions for someone trading within that 300 metres?
Are we aware of any breaches of that policy change?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, thanks for the question. I can tell you the extent of what I do know. So last year there was a motion that council approved to make a policy and make some changes. Since that time, we've actually been working. It's been working pretty well. Has been the feedback from the officers who manage that policy. We've only had one complaint that came through, which has been resolved. But happy to take feedback if there is other feedback that's out there.
No, I just mean like if someone's broken the policy, is it a fine from the city?
Are we aware, if I can help, are we aware of any food vans that currently breach the distance? This is what you're asking. Are we aware of any that are positioned in less than the required distance?
Through Deputy Mayor, the feedback I've had from the team is that most of the time people are doing the right thing. The policy actually physically outlines on an aerial the exact locations where mobile food trucks can be located. And in looking at that, there's actually quite a range of different sites around the city that mobile food vendors can go. And at certain sites, there's up to 5 bays that are provided for that. So the feedback I've had is positive. But I'm happy to take that offline and go into more detail and discuss it further.
So what I hear, there was no breaches yet, but there are not complaints. Besides that one, we did not receive any further complaints. So we're not aware of any issues. This is what I hear. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Is the city aware of any current breaches of tree protection zones for any issued development applications in the city at the moment?
Yes, Director.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for the question. Yes, that does happen. I am aware personally of one matter that's currently under investigation and is being worked on at the moment. So they do happen, and we do are active, and we do find them, and we do take action to ensure compliance and that trees are protected and that barriers are installed.
And thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just to confirm, I guess if there's damages or Helliwell value applies to any trees that are damaged or need to be removed, is there any additional punitive damages applied to it? Just to get an idea as to what that process is and what that looks like.
Yes.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, that can be applied. The most The thing we try to prioritise is to get that compliance, protect the tree in the first place, and work with the people who are on site. We will also then collect evidence as well. So should that not cooperation be there, then we can then go down that more stronger punitive enforcement pathway that is available, but it's not our preferred pathway. Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? No, so we'll move on. There is no new business of an urgent nature this evening. Now we're moving to part 14, meeting closed to the public. As we said before, we have one confidential item this evening. Can I please have a mover and seconder to close the meeting to the public as the information contained in the report to be discussed deals with a tendered price and a tendered methodology for calculating a price for a tender received by the city for a contract. So please, can I have a, yes, I have Councillor Black moving, Councillor McDonald seconding. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? It is unanimous. Thank you. So if we can please close the door to discuss 10.4.2. Yes? Thank you. So this is it for tonight. I will close this evening's meeting at 8:49. Thank you, everyone.